speed. Glory. Danger. Motorsports is a game played at 200 miles per hour, where a single mistake can mean the difference between a win and a wake. These are the crashes that changed racing history forever. And a warning, some of what you're about to see is, quite frankly, disturbing. They call it the Big One for a reason, and in 2002 at Talladega Superspeedway, it was one of the most chaotic pileups in NASCAR history. It started with contact between Jimmy Johnson and Mike Wallace, and the next thing you know, 24 cars were tangled in a metallic mess of flames, smoke, and spinning chaos. The crash was so intense that cars were flipping end over end, like toys thrown by a toddler. Miraculously, nobody was injured during the crash.
About 4 or 5 cars that are coming around through 3 and 4 right now that were not in this race. They see Mike McLaughlin in 18. They're still getting upside down. People. Boy, it happens so fast.
You know, it's hard to tell if maybe somebody was into the back of Shane Meal when he got into Scott Riggs. The angles make it very difficult to tell. Oh, Meal hit the inside wall.
Greg Moore was a rising star. The kind of driver who didn't just race cars, but live the sport. But in the 1999 kart season finale at Fontana, he lost control at over 200 miles per hour. His car flipped, slammed into a concrete wall, and was torn apart. The crash was shown live on television. The crowd went silent. Moore, just 24 years old, didn't survive. The racing world lost a future champion. The wreckage? Unrecognizable. The footage? Burned into motorsports history. Fog, rain, and a tight corner, and 22 Formula One cars barreling toward it at full speed. What could possibly go wrong? This is the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, the most expensive crash in F1 history. David Coulthard lost control, triggering a chain reaction that turned the opening lap into a scrapyard. Over a dozen cars were destroyed, carbon fiber rained down like confetti, and somehow, no one was seriously injured. It was chaos, it was dramatic, and it was caught on camera in the most cinematic fashion possible.
Over on the your right of the picture, swings across and just lights up the rear wheels, had a big frontal impact into the wall anyway, and now the real action starts. David goes over to the other side, and then in the middle somebody's braking. Eddie Irvine gets caught up into Benetton, and they just keep smashing into each other. Look at Salo's car, his second big accident of the weekend, and then after that, total carnage.
This one still haunts IndyCar history. In the opening laps of the 1964 Indy 500, Dave McDonald's car spun out and struck the wall. His fuel tank ruptured, igniting a fireball that engulfed the track. Eddie Sachs, driving behind him, had no chance to avoid the carnage. He hit the flames, and both men died instantly. The footage is horrifying. Fire, black smoke, cars veering wildly to escape the inferno. It changed everything, prompting major safety reforms, fuel cell redesigns, and a hard look at the risks drivers faced. Visibility, 0. Rain, blinding. Green flag, still waved. Japanese driver Tetsuya Ota never stood a chance. At the start of a Super GT race in 1998, Ota collided with the stationary Porsche at full speed. His Ferrari erupted in flames instantly, and marshals took over a minute to respond. The footage is jaw-dropping and infuriating. You watch helplessly as the fire engulfs the cockpit. Ota survived, barely, with severe burns and lasting injuries. The crash exposed deep flaws in Japanese motorsport safety at the time. If you want to see the worst of motorsport, this is it. British driver Roger Williamson crashed during the 1973 Grand Prix. His car flipped and caught fire. What followed was a scene out of a nightmare. His friend and fellow driver David Purley stopped his own car, ran across the track, and tried, alone, to flip the burning wreck back over. Purley waved, screamed, begged for help, but marshals stood back, unequipped and unsure of how to assist. Williamson died trapped inside. The footage utterly haunting, a moment of an action that became one of F1's darkest days. High speeds, 34 cars in a narrow track. What could go wrong? And what was supposed to be a celebration of IndyCar's champion, Dan Wheldon died in a horrifying 15-car crash at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. One car flipped onto the catch fence. Wheldon's car was airborne and hit the post cockpit first. The onboard footage, played only once publicly, was too horrific to ever show again. The race was cancelled, and the sport changed forever. Wheldon was 33, a two-time Indy 500 winner, gone in seconds.
Going down, guys, and the back end started to come around, and that started the chain reaction.
He was uncomfortable being on the top lane, and he tried, like you said, there's the car. Look, there's two cars that are airborne. This puts IndyCar racing in perspective. This is the horrible accident that everybody has always hoped would never occur.
It was supposed to be a typical lap at the Nürburgring, until it wasn't. Niki Lauda, reigning world champion, lost control of his Ferrari, smashing into the barrier and was hit by oncoming cars. The wreck burst into flames. Lauda was trapped inside for over a minute, inhaling toxic fumes and suffering severe burns. However, he survived. Footage shows the wreck smoldering as other drivers pull him free, a grim, heroic moment. Lauda returned to racing just 6 weeks later, bandaged and bloody, rewriting the limits of human resilience. This one is almost too bizarre to believe. During the South African Grand Prix, a marshal ran across the track, carrying a fire extinguisher, to respond to another accident. At that exact moment, Tom Price came around the bend at full speed. He hit the marshal head-on. The impact killed them both instantly. The fire extinguisher struck Price in the helmet with such force it nearly decapitated him. His car, driverless and mangled, kept going down the straight. The footage is grainy, but the horror is clear. A freak accident that remains one of F1's most disturbing tragedies. The last entry isn't just the worst crash in racing history, it's the deadliest crash in all of motorsports, and it happened on the grandest stage. During the 1955 24 Hours of Le Mans, a chain reaction crash sent Pierre Levaux's Mercedes hurtling into the crowd at over 120 miles per hour. The car disintegrated mid-air. The hood became a blade, slicing through the grandstands. The engine block flew like a cannonball. 84 people died. Hundreds were injured. And yes, the cameras caught it all. You can see the smoke, the chaos, and the realization. The race continued to avoid mass panic. Mercedes pulled out of racing afterwards, and international motorsport was never the same. These crashes remind us that motorsports isn't just about speed or glory. It's about risk, courage, and sacrifice. If you made it this far, thank you. Hit like if you've learned something, and subscribe if you want more deep dives into racing's most dramatic moments. And, as always, buckle up.